It's the Anfield Wrap. After Liverpool have lifted the league title in Anfield in front of humans for the first time since 1990, I am Neil Atkinson, and I'm joined by Rob Gutman, by John Gibbons, and by Beth Lindop from ESPN, anti-heating producing in there as well for us all the way through. We are brought to you by Peloton. We're partnering with Peloton. They are the official digital fitness partner of Liverpool Football Club. They're the Anfield Wrap's partner as well. And you've just given me the good news that we succeeded in the group cycle or exercise to Istanbul that we were doing, John.
Yeah, it's great news. We got there. We got a little bit over, actually, so we're on our way back.
Marvellous.
So we managed to get a bit over. Good, yeah, nice place. Great food. Still talking about that game. Still talking about that game 20 years ago. No, it was a big group effort. Lots of people joined the group to get stuck in. I think partly because it sounded fun, and partly because Peloton have put a signed Liverpool shirt up.
Marvellous.
So we're going to figure out how to draw that at some point. So we'll figure that out. So have a little look in the group. You can talk to each other in the group now, which is really nice. So they've added like a chat function on the Peloton app for groups. I think partly for us, which is nice of them. So I'll let people know in there how on earth we're going to decide who wins the signed shirt. But no, it's been a lot of fun. I know other people have rode and stuff like that as well, and done and treaded. I'm never quite sure what the right term is for that, but I'll figure it out.
Trod.
Maybe. Yeah. Been on a tread machine as well. To help with the distance, and loads of us have done it. We've had a lot of fun.
Excellent stuff. Even I mucked in, and I think it may well be next week, John, when I fulfil the promise to ride this Peloton.
So many people are talking about it, Neil. You're not going to get away with it.
So yeah, I'm gonna all the way through.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it.
Because that was the main reason I wanted Liverpool to win the league, because you could fulfil this promise. So I will be very disappointed. I
think you might be on next Monday.
Yeah.
So John's away. I know that John's away, and I think that Rob's away.
That could be the day.
On.
I'll just watch it at home.
Yeah, so you're gonna. So it'll be on there. We're not quite sure how we'll do it yet. I'll probably have to manoeuvre it so it's at this end of the table.
So at least you can see people.
Yeah, and the other reason why it might be good for me to do it next week is because it's going to be people getting to sum up the season, so they talk for an extended period of time. So there shouldn't be too much of me ridiculously breathless.
Are we at that bit already? The season summing up.
The season summing up comes every year. Every year it comes up.
I feel like we just summed up the season before.
Early and early every year, but we will start off with yesterday, because yesterday was the summing up of the season in a way as well, Beth. It was the bit that everyone had been waiting for, the getting to lift it and getting to have the sort of the full party. I just want to start in the really obvious place, which was it was brilliant to see Alan Hansen. It was a great idea. He looked unbelievably cool. I'm trying to work out how much money I would pay for a recorded 30-minute conversation between Alan Hansen and Virgil van Dijk. I couldn't imagine anything I'd want more, and there's nothing I think I want more in the world now than 30 minutes of Alan and Virgil having a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he looked so well, didn't he? And it was so lovely to see, and probably for a lot of people the moment of the afternoon. And I think sort of the nicest thing is you can tell just how much respect there is, going both ways, but certainly from Virgil to him. You can tell that it's not sort of manufactured, it's not forced, it's not for the cameras. You can tell you're just sort of looking at them having a conversation, and I think that there's so much admiration there, and it's really, really lovely. And for him to get a moment like that after everything that he's been through, and to get this sort of the adulation of the fans and stuff as well was really, really special. So absolutely one of the moments of the afternoon for me.
One of the moments of the season in a really funny way. It was genuinely sweet. You're not a man for sweetness. You'd probably rather be cracked on.
A thrust in my face.
You don't like a thrust in your face.
I'll decide if it's sweet.
So did you decide this one was sweet? Do you think?
I actually thought that was quite sweet, yeah. I fair play to whoever thought of Alan. In the idea of getting somebody special to give, a Liverpool captain a trophy, there's a lot of special people around the football club. You could have picked a wide range of characters. I'm sort of surprised they landed on Alan Hansen, but it was exactly the right person to have landed on, the symmetry of him being the last man to have lifted it, tied in with the nearly sad dramatic subplot of what he went through. What was it, best part of a year ago. And just, the symmetry of the fact that him and Virgil play the same position, have graced the position both in positional terms and as captains, and him looking so well. I've thought through his whole life Alan Hansen should be the next James Bond. and sort of at any given moment he could have been the next James Bond, and when that debate comes around periodically, and I thought, yeah, people talk about it should be this guy, that guy, a girl, a boy, whatever. Sometimes it should maybe be a man nearing his 70s who still looks serene. I would back Alan Hansen. And it was great. I was listening to you and Adam Mealy on the pink yesterday, John, to be repetitious, and Adam said he was on the cop and he could see Alan Hansen mouth the words "incredible" as Virgil lifted the trophy. I believe Adam. I choose to believe him. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, it was too good. What I think I found incredible about the end of this season and what's happened is that there doesn't feel like there's been a single anticlimactic moment. I said to the kids as 2020 was approaching, before COVID even though, we're romping this league. It's not going to be like winning a cup final in the last minute. It's not going to be like Istanbul. You just got to let it sort of luxuriate like a wave over you. You're going to enjoy it in a different kind of way. And even this season, as we began to zoom ahead of Arsenal, I thought there'll be no great moments of ecstasy. It'll just be a sort of a warm feeling, a bathing in it. But actually, it has sort of been a series of ecstatic moments that sort of happened they happened in the run-in to the title for sure. The goal, Trent's goal at Leicester, the win after win that mattered along the way. But then Tottenham on the final day seemed much, much more energising and dramatic than it had any right to be. And even yesterday, sort of a football match sort of broke out where one had no right to break out. And the way it all felt at the end, in a different way to Tottenham, it was perfect and not anticlimactic, not underwhelming, just the way it should have always been and was in our dreams, I think.
It's easy. I don't want to say it's easy. You can get a lot right when you win. It's worth pointing that out. It's not necessarily still easy to get a lot right, but you can get a lot right when you win. And it feels as though, as Rob's saying there, John, Liverpool, the entity that is Liverpool before you get to the us part, have got a lot right. I was made up to do the double guard of honour. I thought it just showed genuine soundness in a way, such respect for the game. You won this thing last week. It was absolutely brilliant that you won it. We want to pay homage to you, and put that all the way through to that trophy parade and the way in which it went, to Alan being there, to the way Virgil was with them, to the pictures of them in front of the cop. You can just go on and on and on about how much it feels as though everyone connected to Liverpool has got a lot right.
Yeah, I think that's all fair, and I liked my favourite thing about the sort of the double guard of honour was that we didn't know whether it was going to happen or not. It was like a nice surprise, and they hadn't said whether they were going to do it or not. And then when you realised they were going to do it, it was a really nice moment, and obviously well deserved. And for Palace, both the fans and the club, it meant a lot really, because it's a huge moment for them. Obviously winning the league's massive for us, but for them to win a trophy is unbelievable. And so everyone finding a way to mark that if you kind of think is the right thing to do. And the game was a bit more of a non-event than I sort of thought it would be, but I actually thought we played really well with 10, and I think I enjoyed that. I think there was the challenge of that kind of got something out of them, and then they played well. I'm pleased we didn't lose the game, but then just the celebrations after, with Alisson sort of leading the charge and things like that, and like you say, the people involved, McVeigh's parents sort of bringing out that's a Premier League thing. It should be said. So we're talking about the club getting a lot right, but it's the Premier League who say you need community champions to and obviously Liverpool get to pick, and I think they picked really well, in terms of McVeigh's mum and dad. But that's a Premier League thing, that, and then the idea of a legend, and again the club get to pick, and they picked Alan Hansen, which is brilliant, but. Yeah, there was just sort of little things like that you felt that the club just did really well. I liked that the goal came past people who worked there, and there was all the sort of the high fives. It was like another sort of little guard of honour, wasn't it, with sort of people. And it was really nice. Everyone got the big cheer and the big moments, and for Trent as well. It was really lovely in my opinion. I've been all over the place on Trent, but seeing how happy he was when he got the big cheer. For me, was a nice moment, and obviously meant a lot to him as well, because he pretty much broke down straight afterwards. And so, yeah, just lovely, lovely. You never really know what to expect, and there's little things that surprise you, how much you like. there's little things that maybe aren't quite sort of how. I mean, I couldn't really see the trophy lift as such because we had the backs.
Yeah, I'm the same. On the same side. So Rob actually. Yeah, we're all the same.
So we couldn't really see the trophy lift, and then they set off a load of pyro, ironically, and so I couldn't really see the stuff going on at the Kop. So when they were all doing the individual lifts, I could tell he was a Liverpool player, but I couldn't say who was who until they started singing the Chiesa song, and I was like, oh, that one must be Federico. But so I got
a lot of photos of smoke.
Yeah,
a lot of photos of smoke.
Yeah. They might want to have a chat about it, whether that's appropriate. Liverpool Football Club put a statement out, but
it was fine.
Yeah, no, I'm just teasing, but yeah, it was great. And then coming out was unbelievable again. Like, can there be a party outside the Kop after every home game? It's really fun to come out too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I wasn't quite ready for it this time either. Do you know what I mean? After Tottenham, you sort of knew it, but after this, I thought it'd be more sedate. And it came out, and it was just the same. It's just though I hadn't left. Gone for a time ball, the same thing was going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, can we always play in daytime? Can it always be pretty sunny? Can there always be a party out? And can we all be warm enough so we can all sit outside the pubs? That is.
I did think John mentioned the Trent thing there, Neil. I do think, I don't know, we don't want to overshadow this, and the media want to talk about the Trent thing a lot, but it does need saying, because in a way, it sort of allowed the whole entity, the fans, the club, to sort of reassert themselves for the sort of dignified, classy institution that we are. You know, we've all been through the maelstrom, as John said, with Trent. We've all been in bits and back and forth, and I've done enough of my own snide, half-drunken posts on Twitter about it. But at the end of the day, Beth put a lovely post out this morning about it. It's just nice. It's nice to be nice sometimes, and seeing him happy and everybody else sort of just getting on board with going, you know what, we're angry, we're pissed off, but at the end of the day, you did what you did. We're a family. We stick together, and this is how we're going to show it. And I thought it was classy. And I think I heard was it Ben saying on the show yesterday, a lot of people aren't going to forgive him, and they don't have to. But at least they realised for the greater good we were as one yesterday. And I thought that was symbolic of what we've achieved in some sense.
He was fucking brilliant as well, by the way.
Yeah.
And when I was watching him, I'm like, he's such a good footballer.
That pissed me off no end. That pissed me off, because fuck's sake. Can't we keep him?
Would have played left-sided centre-half, would have been just pinged it around. Curtis Jones went left-back. He was honestly...
he's so good at football.
Even Slot said after the game, he said, like, if someone was making a highlight reel of his performance today, it'd be about 5 minutes long, because there were just so many good passes. But yeah, like Rob said, I just sort of think, you know, people, he's under no illusions about how unpopular his decision is, and who knows what his long-term legacy will be. There'll be people who never forgive him, there'll be people who grudgingly do, there'll be people who accept it, and whatever camp you're in, that is absolutely fine. But ultimately, I think the thing with Trent this season, and certainly the last couple of weeks, is it's felt quite... there's been a lot of talk of him being almost like a brand, and I think sort of like the video that he put out when he was leaving and stuff feeds into that, because it was very sort of orchestrated and very staged, and things like that. Sometimes that's just the way it is. But I thought yesterday, particularly that moment with his mum, when he just sort of broke down, you saw how much it meant to him. You know, you don't fake that kind of emotion. He still, you know, two things can be true at the same time. He can still want to go and try something else, and still love Liverpool Football Club, and I think he does. And again, that might not be enough to sort of salvage his reputation in the eyes of some people. But I just thought it was nice, and I think, you know, there was a real sort of nervous energy, I think, when his name was read out at the beginning and when he came on, and it just sort of, you're just thinking you don't want the next few days to be dominated by, oh, Liverpool fans have done this, and that it wasn't, I think, was a real positive thing.
Just draws a line under it, and I'm sort of, that's it. We know the fellow who's coming in to replace him. You know what I mean, John? I quite like the fact that it all just feels sorted out now, and you can like it or not like it, and as you know, you can go whichever way you want, but it's all sorted out now, and off he goes, and he's got 2 Premier League winners' medals, and he's been absolutely integral in getting both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great Liverpool career, isn't it? You know, you think about, you know, what he's won, and you know, he'd like 1 or 2 more, I'm sure. You know, he plays in those finals and you know, Champions League finals, and
gets 90 points on separate
points
on separate
so he'd like more, but it's not bad. Do you know what I mean? What he's able to sort of walk away from, and he's able to walk away with some positivity, and like the others have said, he's aware of, you know, there's a bit of animosity as where he's aware, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like I think showing that you're not going to be pushed around and you're not going to be blagged, if you like. I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing, as a fan base, but I think, you want to be able to show your class in certain moments as well. And I think on the whole, it's probably sort of ended up a bit right. I just wish he'd have shown a bit more of a human side earlier. Listen, we could talk we could do a whole show, and we have, about, how it could have been handled. I think some things would always have just been the same. Like, people talk about the timing of the announcements and stuff like that, or if we got money for it and we didn't. I don't think those things, at the end of the day, make too much of a difference personally. But I think if he could have found a way to show his human side earlier than that, and I don't really understand the reluctance for that, but that is up to him.
It is indeed. It was good that each of the players got their moment in terms of going through it. Rob, I liked that the names got said, and then obviously they get that again with the trophy in front of the Kop. But I thought it was good for the whole ground in the middle there, that everyone who played a part in the league title gets the name both read out and then cheered.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I suppose it's beyond obvious that it's a team effort and a squad effort, but the names go down in history. For this club now, there's no escaping that. And it's interesting to sort of try and put yourself in the heads of those who played the least part, but have still played the part. The Chiesas,
Jaros, the goalkeeper.
Jaros, yeah. But, 2 or 3 great saves at Palace that day. Even Darwin, he doesn't exactly leave in triumph, but in a way he does. He leaves a champion. He signed off with his obligatory miss and then a really, really good cross. Finished the enigma he started as being. There's the Trent thing. So I was pleased that Alexis McAllister is still a thing and still exists, because they seem to there's some sort of mystery has shrouded Alexis McAllister over the last few weeks, where the manager says he's not injured, but he needs to go somewhere and reflect and meditate or whatever on what's to come, and there he was with his Argentina scarf, and I think had Luis Diaz come with his Columbia shorts. They'd all sort of obviously packed a small bag in the early morning and thought about how they were going to do this. It was very sweet, and even with Trent, we're going to reflect. People are going to be angry with him all summer long, or whatever all summer long. But when we look back at videos in years to come, and it's important to keep doing, I've started reminding myself to look back on videos a bit more when clips come up of, like, when we won a trophy in 2020, for example. Look at those videos and remind yourself again. We will see lots of people like Trent Alexander pinging balls around. We will see lots of Darwin Núñez scoring a last-minute goal at Brentford. We might even see a Jaros save or two, or a Chiesa goal in a League Cup final. And these things all counted in all sorts of ways. And it's an aggregate as much as all those wonderful Mo Salah goals.
Well, on Mo Salah, Beth, I actually enjoyed. There's a really good photo of him with all the awards in front of him, in front of the Kop and the trophy, which is a great picture. I quite enjoyed how semi-low key it was that when he won the top scorer and the playmaker, just off to one side, sort that out there with him, because you get the impression he wants to be told you the top scorer. He wants to be the best playmaker, but he wants it all in service of Liverpool. That's the thing that's come front and centre. I was delighted he scored in the game. I was just delighted it was him. Yeah, and you could see how much it meant to him, couldn't you? And it had to be him, really, didn't it, to score the final goal of the season. But yeah, I think it's such a cliche when players say, oh, all these individual accolades are great, but I want to help the team and whatever. And, obviously... Sometimes Harry Kane says them and you're not sure. Yeah. There's a kernel of truth in that, but ultimately, especially goal scorers, they are by nature selfish, and they should be, because that is why they're so good and why they score so many goals. But... I think with Mo Salah this season, and I'm not saying that he hasn't wanted to win those individual prizes, because he obviously has, but I do think it's been totally genuine when he said, I want to win the Premier League with Liverpool. And I think, my favourite thing about that, I think that shows just how much Salah has sort of been ingratiated in the culture of this club, and knowing how much it means to win a league title with Liverpool and to celebrate it, most importantly, with the fans. And I think, Mo Salah 5 years ago would have, I think, taken the Champions League any day over the Premier League. But I think, he's come to recognise now just how much
that means, how much today will mean to so many people, how much yesterday will mean, and I think, you know, his sheer will to win and to have that moment has dragged Liverpool over the line so many times. And I'm also a big fan of the fact that he's obviously just packed all his awards in a little bag and just brought them to the stadium with a view of taking that photo in front of the car.
I think it's, sorry, Neil, I think it's interesting to sort of reflect on how much he's going to have become more ingrained in this city as time's gone by, and that's something we don't see. We just see the footballer, obviously, but it's little hints, like when he talks about his daughter being a Liverpool fan, and you think her life and his wife's life, his family's life are in the city now. And as the kids have got older, he will have got more involved with like parents at the school gate, things like that. We just don't imagine him doing. And they will have, but so he will have formed friendships with ordinary people, quite frankly, in the city. And they will have said to him, you know, the league's the main thing, Mo. You know, that's what we care about the most. And that's why I think that's I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but things like that could have seeped into his consciousness, where he sort of, him saying I want the league is him becoming ingrained in the city. I think that's what we're saying. I thought
it was lovely as well, his oldest daughter Maka. There's that great video, I think it was after Liverpool come second the season they won the Champions League 18-19, and she's comes toddling onto the pitch and she scores in front of the Kop, and then she came out yesterday and she's like nearly as tall as him now, and you know you
amazing.
think, you know, the growth. And I think he said actually when he signed the extension, it was Maka, his eldest daughter, who was most happy to be staying on Merseyside. And like Rob said, you know, all of those little human elements I think probably helped inform his decision as much as anything else.
Yeah, he's just a phenomenal player, isn't he? And we're so lucky to have him, and so lucky to have him for even longer. And I love how much he likes breaking records, because he'll know the next one. I don't know what it is, the next one, but he'll know.
I loved it when Rushy gave him the award midweek, and he said, "I'm not going to catch Rushy." And I didn't like it when he said that, but on the other hand, it just shows he's really looked into it.
He's worked it out. He's worked it out, and he doesn't think he can, but the others didn't bother. I think it was the subtext to that. And yeah, it's great that he gets that goal, because it would have been a bit of a shame if he'd have finished the season on a bit of a drought, because he was really trying in all those games to sort of score, and obviously misses a bit of a sitter at Brighton. And so, yeah, it's nice. It feels apt that he finishes on a goal, and the season sort of finishes on that note, and that high note, really, because he's been brilliant, and I would back him to be brilliant again next season, because it's what he does. It's what he's done since he rode into town, and it's what he'll just keep doing till the day goes.
It absolutely is the case. He was and is the absolute business. Just a couple of little things from the game, Beth. First and foremost, I quite like it when everyone ends up playing out of position. It's like one of my favourite things that happens in football. It's why I love, honestly, and any game goes to 9 men, I want to watch it immediately. What you do with 9? How's that going to work? Who's going to go where?
I like when someone comes on and then you have to explain something to someone, and he's looking at him like,
or they pass him a note.
I've got
to what?
Read it, swallow it.
It's one of my favourite things in football, that sort of thing. As I say, when the team goes down to 9, what happened here was he made his big attacking changes, and then almost immediately Gravenberch got sent off, and then we end up where we end up, which was effectively Diogo Jota playing everywhere and Curtis Jones at left back, Beth. But I thought both Jones and Jota really acquitted themselves well in that period. I thought Jota actually looked the sharpest he's looked in a while, and the fittest he's looked in a while. But I like that energy when that happens, and especially when you're a goal down. If you're 2-1 up, everyone just sits in and you think you counter attack. When you've got to still go and play, that's when it's exciting.
Yeah, it was proper like last day of school vibes. I thought it was just like lumping anyone on. Everyone was playing everywhere. There was one point Cody Gakpo was at left back, and it was just great. And then Wataru Endo comes on, and it's just a Hall of Fame Wataru Endo performance, I thought.
Ran the show, didn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic. I don't think he got a yellow card, which I feel was quite a shame, because that would have been very on brand for him. But no, it was great. It was great fun. That second half was really, really entertaining, because I think actually sort of in the build up to the game and in that first half at times, you're almost thinking, can we just get the football over with? Because I don't think anyone in this stadium is actually that bothered about what happens. So I think when Liverpool had to chase something and try something a bit different, it did make it really entertaining. And like you said, I think actually they probably played the best football that they played when they were down to 10.
I was bothered. I wanted us to win badly, you know. I wanted us to win with 10 men. I actually really enjoyed that last half. Well, actually, the period after Gravenberch was sent off was good. It was quite,
Yeah.
you know, it was, and I think the manager was as well. He said we showed our character, he showed why we were champions, and we sort of did in a way. We actually made a lot of chances in that game, and Palace are no mugs. I said to my mate next to me, I thought they're an interesting team. They could be next season's Brighton if they keep their heads.
And keep the players.
Yeah, keep the players. Eze's a good player, isn't he?
Yeah.
You'd have Eze. And I'm quite interested in the progression of Ismail Assar, who's now, surprisingly, he's turned about 28, and in my head he's always been 21. Because you and I, Neil, were all in for him one summer.
Oh, yeah.
And we ended up getting Jota, which was no bad thing.
He's a really, really good player. So,
Yeah.
really good player.
Very underrated. And they're an underrated team, Palace. And, pleased for them in winning that cup on every level.
There is the gun.
No, I was just going to say, I thought that going down to 10 sort of sharpened minds a little bit, really, because before that they'd been a little bit lethargic, a little bit, you know, like sort of going through the motions, I think. And then when we went down to 10, I think there was a little bit of we need to apply ourselves properly here, or we might get beat 2 or 3, and that's a bit silly. And so I think almost, you know, it helped us really, because it went from a pretty mediocre performance, being generous, to a good one, because I don't think they could have done anything else almost, really. You know, there's being mediocre with 11, and then being mediocre with 1 less. And you don't want to get a good beating on the sort of the last day. And so I think it sharpened their minds really, and they went from, you know, a 4 out of 10 up to an 8, and I think it was nice. It was a nice reminder just how good they are, because we've not really had to see that for a few weeks. So it's a nice reminder why we're champions. It's a nice reminder of the things that we can expect next season, because, as I say, once they went to 10 and they really applied themselves in that way, there was some great football. And it did remind me a little bit of the Fulham one earlier in the season, when we went down to 10 and then played really well. And then afterwards, all the Fulham players were saying how tough it was. And it was like how tough it was to play against Liverpool, even though they only had 10 players. You know, they were getting pulled around all over the place. And so it was a real nice reminder of our quality.
Yeah, there was a lovely sort of 3-minute patch of football, I thought, where both sides were just playing completely on the transition.
Yeah.
And they were breaking on us, and we were breaking on them, and they broke on us, and then we broke on them. And it did have a slightly playground element in one way, but it was also a chasing the game thing in another.
Yeah.
I think it was still 1-0 at the time. But I just enjoyed, John, getting to the quality, again, both sides really, but getting to see, it was like both sides just sort of in that period went, should we just show our best football here then for a period and see what happens?
Yeah, and why not? And there were so many good attacking players on the pitch that why not? And it did feel like, you know, just a fun pick-up game of football, but, you know, really entertaining. And I'd have liked to have won. I'm with Robert. I'd have loved it if they'd have sort of won it. I had a suspicion that we were going to. I felt like we were going to in stoppage time, and they didn't quite get there. But as soon as the final whistle goes and Alison's jumping around, you're like, yeah, okay, this is what I've come for.
That's what we're in it for. Let's talk about today then, Beth. The numbers are enormous. You were just been showing us stuff before we've gone on of people, huge hordes of people at Birmingham New Street, all wearing red, all looking fantastic. You've told me that Lewis Steele saying that Crew Station is now closed. I don't know what everyone's next move is, but there we are.
You know it's bad when Crew Station closes. Centre of the universe in many ways.
One of the key stations in the country.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to engage with the reality and the scope of it, and I think it's also going to be hard to overstate it. I'm expecting it to be, and I've been saying for weeks, it's going to be in excess of 1 million people on the streets of Liverpool. The bars last night, people were spilling out. It was rammed. Town was so busy. If people are still coming today and people are wanting to be part of it right now, I think it's just going to be absolutely huge. Yeah,
I think it has the potential to be bigger than anything we've seen really, and I think part of that is because quite often with parades, they come the day after a cup final, and quite often it's a European Cup final, so there's a huge amount of fans who are still travelling and you know, still overseas and can't get there, and also, you know, it's sort of 50-50 whether or not you're going to win a game, so people maybe can't plan in advance and stuff, whereas obviously, you know, this has been on the cards for a while and it's been confirmed for a month, so I think people who maybe hadn't got to previous parades, it's an opportunity for them to have planned ahead and got the things in order, so I think it's possibly going to be bigger and busier than anything that we've seen before, which is quite, if that is the case, will be incredible, because, you know, 2019 and 2022 incredible scenes. So yeah, it's hard really to comprehend how special it'll be. I think until that moment when the bus is coming down the Strand, and hopefully the weather holds out. It's looking a little bit grey out there at the minute, isn't it? But I'm sure that won't dampen too many spirits. People have already got the Vuvuzelas out, which I think is much too early personally for a Vuvuzela. But there we go. There was a fella stood on top of a bin on the Strand already, waving his flag. So it's
There was a Vuvuzela by me at the ground yesterday. That was a low point.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't want to bring him a negatives, but I nearly wrapped it around his head.
I'd quite like there to be a statement released from the club, not about pyro, but about Vuvuzelas.
This is not us.
Pyro,
it's not our culture.
No. Yeah.
I saw just when we walked into the studio down the Strand, I saw a fella sort of ensconcing himself by a traffic light with his fold-out chair and his two kids, like sitting on the chair while the two kids stood next to him, wondering what they were meant to do, looking self-righteous. And I thought, you're not going to be able to sit on that chair for very long, you know. I mean, like, that's your spot for the entire day.
Yeah.
But it's quite funny, the sense of how people think this is going to play out.
John, do you know something interesting, Beth? This is Gutman's first parade.
It's not.
Isn't it? I thought you said it was your first one.
I think it'll be the first one I've done in town, yeah. I've usually eschewed them, yeah.
It's only my second. I did Istanbul, but I was don't really remember it. That sounded like I was bragging then. Like, I'm not old enough to remember Istanbul, but yeah, the last two times I was at the final, so I didn't get back.
I've not done one in town since Istanbul.
Yeah, so it will be interesting.
Yeah, it's your first one since Istanbul, is it? I thought it was your first one full stop. Sorry about that.
I did two. No, do you know which is the last one I did? Is 2001 treble, the Gerard Houllier one. I did. Then it started by the Tesco on Mather Avenue, somewhere near there. So it was that near my house. Really, quite frankly, I was prepared to do it.
To where this one starts.
I'm not a parade guy, but my kids have kind of got me whipped up into a frenzy about it. So I feel like I've got to participate, and I'm looking forward to it.
The advert for everything, John, I think is absolutely huge. That part of this for the city as a whole, as a place that in this country people go to enjoy themselves, and that's really important. But I think also for the club, for the global resonance and significance, 1 million people in one place at any time is in and of itself massive news. Why are they there? What's brought them there? How's that all going to play out? This could be in excess of 1 million, and they're all here to honour Liverpool Football Club.
They are, and it's going to be brilliant. It's going to be some party. I can't wait. It started already. We're recording this. It's 11:51 now. An hour ago, I was outside, and there's, like Rob said, people out there already. People are getting ready to enjoy themselves, but it's going to fill up and up and up, and everyone's just going to have the most amazing time. And when those pictures go around the world, it is so powerful, I think, for the city, from a point of view of people seeing how beautiful Liverpool is, how warm a place Liverpool is, and how much we love football and we love celebrating our success. And that's really nice. I know it's a big deal for the city, for those images to go out, because where it finishes is spectacular, isn't it? It's one of the iconic waterfronts of certainly this country and maybe the world, and the fact that it is right there where the majority of people, not the majority of people go, but the busiest section, I think is brilliant. Everyone's, will be decked out, flags out and stuff like that. And I think, so what it does for the city, I think is huge. But as you say, Neil, the football club, because it's nice to win, it's great to win, and it's important to win, but the kind of players who we're looking at now expect to win wherever they go. And so, if for example, Florian Wirtz, who we're going to go on to talk about, we have to make the argument to him that we're wanting to win the big trophies, but Bayern Munich can make that argument as well. They've just won the league title. They'll be similar in terms of favourites for Liverpool for the Champions League next season. So how do you make that argument and then some? And I think you make it by things like today, where you say winning really matters at Liverpool. Winning's a huge event at Liverpool. When you win at Liverpool, they'll throw the biggest party and you'll be part of it, and it'll be incredible. And stuff like Spurs and everything after that is really important. I gather some families were invited yesterday, I'm sure, to show just how wonderful it will be. But today is huge, and I don't want people to think about that too much, like just enjoy yourself. But it is like another thing that's able to go like, why would you want to play anywhere else? Come here, come look how much fun it is. Look how much we we value winning and we value the people who win with us. It's brilliant.
There's something in it, Beth. I think it's really important, the parade, for the city, for the people in the city as well, and for anyone wherever they come from to come and be part of it, because we know, like, you know, we're lucky we get to go. Mm-hmm. We're lucky we get to go to Anfield. We're lucky we can go to a number of away games over the course of a season. We know we're lucky. Mm-hmm. And we get to watch them, and yesterday 60,000 people could watch them in Anfield and be part of that. But anyone can come to this. All you need is a bit of concrete under your feet and you can watch them. And for me, it's the parade's democratic before they're anything else. Everyone's out there. Everyone's got their own little space. Everyone can bring the people who maybe they often don't get to bring as well. You know, you can see whole families out where maybe only one of the family's lucky to get to go to the game at any time. That's why it matters so much. Yeah,
it's a chance for everyone to be part of it and to make those special memories. And like you say, you know, all of us in this room are fortunate enough that, you know, we've been present at those games where some of those incredible memories have been made. But, you know, for a lot of people, they haven't had that opportunity, whether it be because they're on the other side of the world or even, you know, they're in Liverpool and they're just sort of not able to get to the match. So I think it will be a chance for so many people, so many different generations of people. Yeah. To enjoy those moments, enjoy them as a family, like you say, and yeah, I think for the players, for so many of them, it'll be the first time really they're experiencing this, and I think, you know, the celebrations that they've had so far have probably surpassed expectations. But I think today, you know, for the likes of Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, Dominic Szoboszlai, players who, you know, want to win, like John said, that they are winners and they'll want to be competing at the highest level for many more years. I think today might even sort of shock them just how big and special it is.
Shock them, Rob, but might shock some in the world. But as John also says, may well tell a very specific story to Florian Wirtz, his family, everyone connected to him, as to why it is that he wants to come to Liverpool, why it is that he's excited, what it is he could well get here as well.
Were they there yesterday? Was there
some chat? That family was there yesterday. That's the theory. So they got to see that yesterday. The images of the parade will be going out all over the world. With Wirtz, it does seem likelier and likelier a conclusion's going to be brought pretty quickly, and he's going to be playing for Liverpool next season.
Yeah, somebody was trolling me on Twitter going, I bet you were, on one of our things, I bet you were checking on Wirtz updates during the trophy lift yesterday. I thought, yeah, I was. I actually was. Well, not as Virgil lifted the trophy, but either side of it I was checking. And I checked first thing this morning when I woke up, and I think, is it Fabrizio Romano was saying that he thinks, or somebody was saying that they think we've actually formally submitted an offer, although I'm sure we've informally submitted an offer a couple of weeks ago, whatever, the package of what a basic 100 million euros plus add-ons might happen. It'll be some kick in the pants if this transfer doesn't happen. Now, that much I can say. It is fascinating if they have invited families to such occasions at the moment. You'd hope that'd be a sign that they were very, very close to reaching agreement with his team. Because if we were the club that owned the player, you wouldn't want him being invited to other teams' games. You probably thought we had a good right back as well. If they'd watched the second half of that, that was the only thing flying the ointment. But no, look, I was fascinated by the comments. Was it the manager and maybe was it Salah again after the game talking about big signings?
Van Dijk talked about big summer, said big summer.
Tom Werner does a bit as well.
Oh, what did Tom Werner say?
He said we owe it to these supporters to give them an even better team next season. Something like that.
Like that. Yeah, so let's see what happens. I noticed if we transfer tittle-tattling, which I am.
Yes, that's all I want to do it, yes.
I noticed Ornstein said that Isak is definitely staying at Newcastle because they've qualified for the Champions League.
Yep.
I had an eye on that game quite a lot throughout yesterday afternoon.
They dropped out for a few moments.
Yeah, they did. That was a bit of a kick in the pants for the Villa. Managed to lose to Man United without getting into all that happened.
Have you seen the goal that got disallowed?
Yeah, it's a bit mad, that, isn't it? It's heavy. Bit crazy. Emotions are running high in that game, bloody hell. So it's not Isak. But you know, I've moved on from Wirtz already. Who is it? Ekitike, maybe? It's interesting just how far they are going to go with renovating a title-winning team, and I can't quite get my head around it. You can see two fullbacks, yeah. You can see the superstar Vert, but beyond then, it's really hard to make sense of what they think is essential or not.
Well, the thing I keep coming back to, John, is I think it will be quite a transformed Liverpool squad, but I think it's all going to happen from a position of strength, and I think all the players who played a key role in winning this league, with the possible exception of the right back and, to be fair, the backup goalkeeper, because he gets a lot of games in the end, will still be here. That to me is what I'm most excited about. The core, the nucleus of the title-winning team is still going to be played next season, but with new players that the manager wants to work with and he's excited by.
Yeah, there shouldn't be much of a drop-off from the older ones, so the likes of Virgil and Salah. I did notice Arne Slot said in the week that we shouldn't expect Salah to have the same season he's just had this season again, because it's almost impossible, but he expects him to have a very good one, and if he drops just 5 goals and 5 assists, it's still phenomenal output. But you'd expect him to go again, you expect Virgil to go again, and then many of the other players are a really good age. You talked there about Alexis McAllister, obviously Gravenberch, you fancy to kick on again.
Szoboszlai's younger than you think.
Yeah, so a lot of the other ones are of a good age, really. And then, so, like you say, Neil, if we can add to them, we can add to them with quality. And it's interesting to me, the style of player that we seem to be going for, and they're very attacking minded substitutes, aren't they, and bit of versatility there as well. It looks like they just want to get really good footballers in a sort of basic way, then they'll figure it out. Maybe we'll play like we did in the last 10 minutes with this one. Jota playing 6, but just really good footballers and very versatile footballers and people who can do different things on a football pitch depending on what is necessary. And yeah, 1 or 2 more of them, and it's super exciting for next year anyway, but it will be even more so.
The idea of the big summer, Beth, it always just sort of throws numbers in. You feel pretty confident right back, left back and Wirtz are going to be coming in. Frimpong, we know for a fact, really, we can say is going to be playing for Liverpool next season. How many do you think they're going to do? That gets them a 3. How many do you think they're going to do?
I mean, it does feel like we've sort of become a little bit unused to Liverpool making that number of signings in the one window. So I would be it sort of you feel. It feels strange saying they might actually bring in 5 or 6, but I think certainly depending on outgoings, I think it could well be 5 or 6. I'd argue that they need a centre forward probably as much as they need any other position on the pitch. Obviously, Newcastle getting into the Champions League places complicates a move for Alexander Isak, but I'm sure they'll have their eyes on other targets across Europe. So I think that there's every chance that there's 5 or 6 new faces possibly by the time next season starts. How many of them will be sort of starters in the team, I'm not entirely sure. But I think for Liverpool almost that they sense an opportunity, and I think there is an opportunity for Liverpool over this next couple of years to go on and create a little bit of a dynasty. I think Manchester City, it'd be naive to say that they're not going to be back and stronger next season, because I think they absolutely will. But I also look at their squad and think they have a lot to do. I think they've got so many top players who are either moving on or sort of look past the best, who they need to replace. They've obviously got things going on off the pitch that could make things a little bit more complicated for them. And then you're looking at, Liverpool are probably better placed than anyone else to go on. And if City do indeed sort of take a little while to get back to the formidable best, Liverpool are probably the team best placed to do that. So, yeah, I think it is an opportunity for Liverpool over the next couple of years to really establish themselves as the Premier League's main force.
I think the numbers game on the transfers this summer is fascinating, because you can make a case for saying, look, this is a team of title winners here. You actually don't need to make many changes. The manager sort of hinted at that a bit disingenuously, and you could make a case that if we are to sign, Frimpong looks like he's done. Kerkez looks very, very imminent, and hopefully Wirtz goes over the line. You could almost make a case to go, we could stop there if you don't sell key performers like, say, Konate or Luis Diaz. But if you do, but on the other hand, people go, well, you could sign 7s, 6s, and 7s. I'm not really sure that's ideal. I think I begin to think there's a sweet spot number, and I think it's 5. And that's predicated on the fact that I don't want Luis Diaz to go. Obviously, that would create a mini crisis, but a requirement to replace him. Assuming he doesn't go, and assuming Konate doesn't go, but anybody else who was within the squad environs does go. I still think 5 is the sweet spot amount. It's the 2 full-backs. It's a centre-half because we need to plan ahead in that sense. It's the centre-forward because you've got to replace the Darwin Núñez figure. And Wirtz is the bonus signing, if you like. So 5 seems to be the sweet spot. What are you thinking, Neil?
Oh, I think what I'm more interested in is actually I think the timing's going to be interesting.
Okay.
And the good thing I keep saying it about Wirtz is you can buy Wirtz, but it doesn't mean you've got a problem. It doesn't mean that clubs can go, well, you obviously want to move X on, because Wirtz is something completely new and different. So Liverpool are still able, because we know Liverpool wants top money for anyone who Liverpool will have what they want to sell. And I think what I think is really interesting with it, John, is I think they'll do 3. Then I think they'll do some outs, and then I think they'll be having a look at what else it is that they're going to do. That's. I think it's almost good at time like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Neil. I think they'll get the 3 done, the 3 that we're all expecting, and then I think there'll be a little bit of a pause. And it's the best part of 200 million quid, isn't it? Sort of, so we go okay and assess. I think they imagine they'll get decent money for Núñez. Probably Elliott. He looked like he was off at the end. It was quite emotional. I think they'll back themselves to get good money for both of them, but you've got to do it. You know what I mean? You can't just say, well that money's in and spend it sort of in your head. A bit like the lottery win that you'll have and you start spending the money, then you realise you're not even bought a ticket. I think they'll pause a little bit and then you might even start the season with just those 3, and then throughout the window and towards the end of the window, do a little bit more.
Football's an industry, John. I think this is important, and I think that one of the things that often happens in the industry of football is that on a day like today, there's the Champions League final left. There's going to be a couple of international games, but clubs often sort of mothball themselves for like 3 weeks around now. I don't think that's an option here, and I don't think that's an option for football as an industry because of the Club World Cup, and it's moved things around a little bit and turned. So I think that's an option, but I think that as and when the Club World Cup, whether people are watching it or not, gets into full swing, that's when I think a lot of clubs will go a bit quiet. I think there'll be a little bit of PSR, bits and pieces bouncing around at the end of June, but I sort of think it's going to be a bit of a funny one really, when I think football's going to be quite busy until the 10th of June. Then I think football's going to go quiet until the 25th of June. Then in this country there's going to be a bit of action, and then I think you'll see everyone beginning to ramp back up again at the start of July. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I think, like you say, whether you're in the Club World Cup or not, if the team you're buying from are, then it sort of affects them, or if you're speaking to a player and he's got 2 or 3 options and one of them is in the Club World Cup, then maybe that's a bit of a factor there. If the player you're looking to buy, they want to replace first, and that player's in the Club World Cup, there's all sorts of knock-on effects. You wonder about financial years and stuff like that. When that runs for clubs, whether that has an impact. Is it something do you either want to sell before that, or you don't want to be splashing money until the sort of the next one, or whatever it is. So there are all sorts of factors, and
also people go on holiday.
Yeah,
this is the other part of this as well. If you work in football, if you work for a football club, John, your peak holiday period's June.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
That's when your wife's saying, "Can we go away then?" When the football stops, or whoever it is.
Surely they don't give them leave when the transfer window opens. That's grossly negligent.
It depends who it is. It depends who it is.
But it depends what bit of the club. But
if I'm a chairman of any football club around here, no one's getting holiday in June. That's for sure.
Whenever you give anyone holiday ever,
I give people holidays. I'm in the business of that, but not in fucking June. No, come on. I don't buy that kind of thing. Seriously, I'm not being argumentative. No, of course, club employees, but not the
club
people
employees.
Yes, but not the people who you expect to be at their busiest.
But the football managers are going to go on holiday in June.
Yeah, but they all famously say, "I've got my phone."
They will have the phone on, but they're still going to be going on holiday.
I'm sorry, I'm not. This is not going to slow down the business of transfers.
Well, it does every year. Every year, June's quite quiet.
Doesn't. Nonsense. People say this.
July is busier than June every year.
No, not. Well, okay, they're starting to do the deals in June, and they're not going to get them over the line till July.
But they're not going to get the final bits done because people are going on holiday.
Sorry?
Because people are going away a little bit, so it just slows down a bit.
Okay, all right. Players on holiday. Your players on holiday.
So you can't pin the player down.
Yes, I know, but the people working behind the scenes.
You can't get the manager.
Yes, all right, okay.
I will agree to disagree. I'm looking forward to getting the text.
Why aren't they working?
Yeah. What are they up to? Yeah, Rob. Andy just said there. Shemaka Santabol's from Ibiza.
Good. He was working.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah, did he say listen?
Honestly, that's.
Oh, always working. See, John doesn't go on holiday. What a pro.
You get away.
I am, yeah. I go to Spain at the back end of next week.
Viva España.
I bet Fabrizio doesn't go to Spain at the back in June.
No, he doesn't. See, that's...
No fucking way.
No
Yeah.
fucking way Fabrizio sleeps.
Yeah, so I'm not living up to his standards, I'm afraid. But
I'm glad you're getting away, though.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. I am ready now for a little break.
I've done a year working in football there. This is the time you go.
Yeah. And then it's the women. I'm doing the women's Euros as well in July. So have a nice little football break and then. Yeah, back to it.
Get back to it. Excellent stuff. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed this Anfield Wrap after Liverpool have won and secured and lifted their 20th league title all season. Listen, we don't stop. No breaks here. We don't stop. We go all the way through. So if you're thinking about subscribing to all of this, we've got a fascinating little conversation that we had with Rob, Josh Williams and Mo Stewart about how the transfer committee is going to behave itself this season and what the aims of it is. And then we've also got our transfer committee games, our in their shoes stuff. Loads of fantastic stuff coming through all the way through the summer. John did something brilliant on the 65 parade, which I would recommend heartily if you get the opportunity.
It's out for free as well.
It's out for free as well. There you go. The Anfield Wrap is always busy and always working, and we'll be here all the way through the summer. So do subscribe if you would like to. But regardless, thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying it. Whatever you're doing today with the parade, make sure you enjoy every last minute of it. Liverpool are the champions, and we all did it together. See you later on.